About 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer during their lifetime, according to the American Cancer Society. But each man's risk of prostate cancer can vary based on his age, race, ethnicity, and other factors. For example, prostate cancer is more likely to develop in older men, and about 6 in 10 prostate cancers are diagnosed in men who are 65 or older, and it is rare in men under 40. The probability of prostate cancer risk is also higher in African American men and in Caribbean men of African ancestry than in men of other races. Jamaican men have an unusually high incidence of prostate cancer. It is the largest cause of cancer death in the island among males and females. But Jamaica also has a good prostate cancer survival rate. And here to share their stories with us are members of Brothers United Against Prostate Cancer. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you for having me.
Yes,
Thank you for having
And so who we have this evening are Richard Reese, Major Richard Reese, I should say, Mike Jurideini, who is the chairman or president of this group, and of course, Mr. Quinton Yard. I'm going to start with asking you, Mike, as chief, to just tell us a bit about what exactly is Brothers United Against Prostate Cancer, about your mission, and also, of course, share with us briefly, how long a survivor are you?
First of all, thank you, Baron. Thanks for having us, hosting us. We are Brothers United Against Prostate Cancer. We are here basically as evangelists to spread the word, to encourage all our Jamaican men to get screened early. Our mission statement, as you asked, is to provide a nurturing environment for Jamaicans interested in addressing the physical, spiritual, and emotional issues surrounding prostate cancer survival, thereby advancing men's health and the ability to live fruitful lives. So it really is about sending out information that is properly researched and verified, and getting the word out to for our Jamaican brothers really to pay close attention to our prostate health. And of course, in the wider picture of just taking care of our health generally. So that's it in a nutshell. But we definitely target education of our Jamaican males and the care of their prostates.
Michael, you how long a survivor are you?
Oh, I am a survivor in excess of 13 years. Thankfully.
13 years.
Yes.
Wow.
I think I moved now from a survivor to a striver.
A striver. I love that. I love that. Well, listen, I'm going to turn to you now, Quinton. Can you quickly tell us how long a survivor you are, but also tell us what are some of the important issues relating to detecting early the whole matter of prostate cancer.
Thank you, gentlemen, for having me. My name is Quinton Yard. I am 4.5 years to 5 years post my diagnosis. Why I say it like that is because I got diagnosed and then about 6 months after.
Sorry, Quinton. Put on your mic, your video. Sorry.
Oh, my video. Right. Okay. So the lighting might not be so good where I am. Right.
Oh.
Yeah. So got diagnosed in 2019. Did surgery June of that year. Did radiation in March 2020, and I have been cancer-free ever since. So it's 4.5 to 5 years post my diagnosis. The critical thing I'd say to all men is to be tested, you know, do your prostate exam regularly. And it's better to do the test than not to do the test. So if you can't do the the dreaded DRE, please do the blood test. But once you hit 40, get tested. If you have a history of cancer in your family, get tested. But, you know, they say that prostate cancer is so common. It's not if, or not prostate cancer, prostate issues.
Yes.
So it's not if, it's when. So it's better to get tested so you can know exactly what is happening. And the one thing I want to tell you is that prostate cancer, when caught early, has a 96% recovery rate.
Wow, say it again.
Yeah, 96% recovery rate. So, Shannon Sharp, one of the things I hope to happen in Jamaica is that more famous Jamaicans will come out and say, hey, I have had an issue with my prostate. I have overcome it. So a lot of more popular Black American sportsmen, media practitioners will come out and say, hey, I've had prostate cancer and I'm now prostate free, you know. And many people believe it's a death sentence. It is not. It is not. Treatment is available. It's one of the few cancers that can be successfully treated. That's what I want to highlight today.
Thank you, Quinton. Richard, he mentioned that prostate is not prostate illness won't necessarily be cancer. What else? What does he mean by that? Can you explain that to us some more? And I know you're a major, not necessarily a doctor, but can you shed light on that? You might want to jump in here, Richard. Michael.
Well, I can tell you basically.
Yes, go ahead.
Any issue you have with your prostate is not necessarily cancerous.
Right.
Yeah, and we are not doctors, but who sees it knows it. You know, that's commonly available information. So what tends to happen is many men, when they think they have an issue with their prostate, they immediately think the worst. Okay. You know, and I'm saying to them, hey.
Thank you, Quinton.
If I could help out there, because he had a little break in his audio just now. There are a number of things that can be happening with your prostate. The common thing in Jamaica, you hear about blockage, stoppage of water, right? That doesn't mean that you have prostate cancer, right? The key thing is, as Quinton so eloquently said, we are not doctors, but there are several other things that can be happening. And I say, even when you do the PSA, the prostate specific antigen, that's what PSA means. That's a blood test that he mentioned. You do that at a lab. The lab then checks. And based on that reading, that would tell the doctors, the medical professionals, it gives an indication as to what may be happening. Now, that is why we ask people to do the testing early. That creates each one of us as what will know. That first reading is what becomes your baseline reading. That now becomes your individual reference on which the medical professionals can say if something is happening and what may be happening. So you might go in today and it's 1, just to use a number for reference. And next year, 12 months time, you do it again, it's less than 1. Oh, that's fine. The following year, it jumps from 1 to 2 or maybe 3. Those are the sudden readings now that the doctors will say, hey, this is not normal. But there are a number of things that could be causing that. You might be a cycle rider. You might have done the test just after sexual activity within 24 hours before. There could be a number of things that cause this reading to be elevated. So what we really need to do now is spend less time on the jokes and the entertainment online and educate ourselves. We have some of our members, I mean, they have a file of their medical readings, the high blood pressure, the heart rate, everything. Everybody wears the smart watches and it's on vogue and think it's here. That can help you, monitor all your vital signs. But you then need to be talking in a more educated way when you're going to see a health professional.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, Michael. Thank you for that. Richard.
Okay. Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes. With my journey or my experience, would have been 8 years. I have been under active surveillance since 2015 or early 2014. And that really started with an enlarged prostate, with the challenges Michael spoke to of urgency, frequency, and obstruction. The feeling at that time was that it was chronic bladder stone disease, and stone was removed from the bladder, 2 centimeters large. And I also did a TURP at the same time, which is to cut out the inside of the prostate, and all of my worries were over. Within 1 year, I produced another stone of 2 centimeters. And going forward, the area that was incised, that was tested, and my urologist then in 2017 recommended that I do a biopsy. That was done at Sylvester. That would have come out at least in 6. And that's a measurement in terms of the cancer reading. I'm not a medical person, but I'll describe it that way. And they continued with active surveillance. So from 2015 all the way to 2023, I have been doing 6 monthly PSA checks, scans, etc. Fast forward to 2023, because my PSA would have fallen from 4 to 1 when I did the TURP, and then it moved back to 4. And in 2023, it moved from 4.7 to 9.6 in the space of 6 months. And the urologist then said, look, this is an indicator. We now need to do scans, 3 Tesla MRIs, etc., which led to a biopsy in February. And the result was 23% of 1 of 12 samples was grade 8, Gleason 8. 1 sample was deemed suspicious, and the options now were a prostatectomy or radiotherapy. He said his term was that it was early and in my favor. I opted for targeted radiation. I must interject here to say that we have to be mindful of YouTube, because once I got diagnosed with a biopsy, I became a YouTube addict. I think I must have viewed about 70 or 80 YouTube videos on radiation. Just to share, though, that technology is improving at a very fast rate. So the targeted radiation that I received, there were no side effects. I, however, received hormone therapy since April, prior to the radiation in August. And
I think Richard is I'm stuck there. Yeah, go ahead.
Now, and so far I am doing fairly well in terms of coping with that, and I hope that with my review in February I would come off the Eligard injections. Yes, so treatment, early detection and treatment also cost less than if you were to develop cancer to the point of more extensive intervention. So support diet, exercise, changing your lifestyle. And I'm really happy that I have been diligent since leaving the military with annual medicals and, of course, the work of the thing. With the support group, I've also been welcomed, and I've also influenced, I think, about 50 persons so far to either get tested or proceed with the intervention. And I really never knew so many of my friends and associates had prostate issues. Not until I shared my experience that you almost realize that every second person that you know in this age group, I'm 67, would have had some symptom or was on some stage towards treatment. So it is a significant number of persons. But as men, I guess we don't open up until someone says, well, I have it or I'm being treated.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I'm going to throw out the question. Enya, you can respond to it. What is the role of the woman in our lives in regards to helping men to well, better health, generally speaking, but particularly about prostate cancer? What role can the women play?
Well, I think women partners in particular can encourage us to do the testing and also encourage to do the intervention, because in some instances there is that whole business of reassurance, because you're going into uncharted waters. Yeah. And there's always the anxiety, the fear factor, etc. But a doctor may tell you that prostate cancer you may have 10 years, but when it starts and you need intervention at a late stage, it can be really very debilitating. I've lost a lot of friends who I've seen elected not to do anything and just ride it out. And it would have spread to several parts of their bodies, and it was really agonizing to lose them. So the message is, of course, get the support of the partner and also ensure that you move forward with that.
Well said, Richard. The ladies are critical, Byron. The ladies,
mute the mic.
The ladies, the women are critical. Where some men, we might say, boy, you keep at me sort of thing. When it does come to our health, because I suppose it's also, well, I would want to think it's regretful. It has a lot to do with socialization that men not supposed to suffer, men not supposed to complain and blah, blah, blah. But I'd want to say that those close to you, your significant other, they will notice you getting up, probably going to bed, to the bathroom more frequently. They will hear the reduced urine flow or interrupted urine flow. And the more educated they are, the better for us all. Because I know if any of us, our daughter said to us, come daddy, we're going to the doctor, we're not going to say no, right? The women play a vital role. And I can tell you from personal experience, my wife was very, very, and continues to be very, very supportive. Because there's that psychological side to it too, that a lot of us men don't want to face, right? You are fearing, a lot of us, we worry about all libido and all of that. What is the sense of you having a drive that you can't fulfill? And a lot of the time, the fear of the unknown is the worst fear, if you ask me. So you really need to go and get the checks done with the support of your significant other. I know certainly early in my case, once the doctor had found that there was, that I had been diagnosed, and I had been diagnosed with prostate cancer, he called us both in and said, let's have a talk. And we discussed together the options, the timelines, everything, because you really, really need to have a serious discussion with your significant other, yeah.
Talk to us a bit more about, Richard mentioned in passing, any of you talk to us a bit more about the balanced lifestyle, exercise, and diet. To what extent are you required to be doing that to remain cancer free?
Richard, I don't know if you
Yes,
want to.
well, I benefited from a presentation by Professor Aiken and one of his associates through the support group, and also advice from my urologist. And the message is that even to those men who have not yet been diagnosed and those who have been diagnosed, it is critical that you develop a healthy diet prior to developing anything else, because that in itself ensures that you have a healthier life. So the excesses that I would have engaged in terms of alcohol, in terms of red meat, in terms of excess starch, etc. I have reverted now to fish. I've reverted to more vegetables, more fruits, more grains, and
Great.
I have reverted to more water. So, having been diagnosed with chronic bladder stone disease, the water and the lime juice mixed with the water is now my new beverage. And of course, I drink tea. Now, you can't easily adapt to those diets overnight.
Yes.
So I adapted to it before. Of course, the transition will be easier. Now I'm really forced to make that change. And with the hormone injections that I'm receiving, there is loss of muscle tone. So I have to now be even more rigorous with my exercise regime. So this should be a part of our daily life, whether we are diagnosed or not. But certainly, once you're diagnosed, you have to change your eating habits, your exercise. Yes.
Great.
Well
Yeah.
said, Richard. If I could add to that, Myron,
Yes.
the whole issue of reducing your dairy intake. One of the things that, well, I am certainly convinced, and a number of us have been to, is reduction of stress.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You really do need to find ways to relax, and walking, with preferably that group, but 3-4 times a week at least. Getting that fresh air, just going out there. And remember too, when you're exercising, whichever form it takes, it allows you to your body to get tired and hopefully improve your sleep, because your sleep quality is a fairly good indicator of your state of health. If you're not sleeping well, that in itself is a problem. Keeping the weight down.
Yes, on the subject of sleep, yes.
Go ahead, Richard.
Yes, on the subject of sleep too. There are many of us who suffer from sleep apnea and are not aware. I was diagnosed with sleep apnea on around 2015, and it is said that sleep apnea can affect your heart, the pressure in your eyes if you have glaucoma, and so many other things. So I also use a CPAP machine, which also prevents me from snoring. So the holistic approach of knowing what your health challenges are and matching that with a diet and a lifestyle and treatment is important. Yes.
Tell me, gentlemen, in regards to the matter of diet, is there any truth behind this thing about Aki, a possible cause or contributor?
No, you were going to say that,
Go ahead, Quinton. Tell me about the Aki, because this is Jamaica's favorite.
The thing about diagnosis with any major disease is you're going to hear a million anecdotal diagnoses and claims. Yes, the forums that I have been in, this question has come up, and I will repeat the answer that I have heard. There is no medical study that has said that Aki causes or makes you more exposed to prostate cancer. Now, many persons swear by it, see? Yeah. However, what I try and explain to persons who are facing this challenge is that, listen, you're going to hear a million and one things. So it is important for you to inform yourself. So you need to go to reputable sources, yeah, and inform yourself. And then you decide on which is best for you. All right. When you try it, if you see no reaction to the positive, leave it alone. You understand?
Yes, thank you.
There is no medical evidence that talks about, I mean, you hear everything. Oh, this, okay, do this, do that, do this, you do this, do that. And I always say, anything that you do must triangulate with what your doctor has suggested.
All right, Quinton, thank you. We're hearing a noise in your background here.
Okay, sorry about that.
All right. So Quinton is saying, let's not follow all we're hearing. If it's not medical, let's not follow what we're hearing about what you can eat and can't eat. So let's get the proper advice from our doctor, and let's stop bad-mouthing Aki, because there's no medical proof about that. Happy to hear that. All right, we're going to wrap shortly, but I wanted you gentlemen to talk some more, because Richard did say that the support group helped. Tell me some more, Mike, about the support group and how one can join it, and what are some of the activities you're engaging in terms of supporting prostate cancer survivors.
All right. Thank you again, Byron. Basically, we have not gotten into a thing where we're charging any fees or anything like this. Right now, we're into just forming a coalition to educate people. We have a website. We have a number of ways of reaching out. I will ask Quinton to elaborate on those, because he's more or less our PR person. But we just if, for instance, you're thinking you're having questions about your health and feel to talk to somebody, you can contact us through the Jamaica Cancer Society. We're an affiliate of them. I know certainly myself and Quinton freely give our telephone number. 876-381-0007 is mine. And we get into a group, we put in our WhatsApp group, we get information, we disseminate it. Quinton, as I said, can give you the email addresses, and we do have a YouTube channel too that we have done some videos and interviews, and as I said, to enlighten and educate. Richard, I mean, when I heard from Richard calling me, he mentioned people that he just don't know. And I mean, Richard said, but Mike, I didn't know you went through this. I said, listen, man, let's talk. And it's been great chatting to him. When he was getting his treatment, we tap each other each day. That's it. It's for encouragement, you know, and sharing. I got a call recently from the mother of a survivor, who his had come back, and unfortunately he died recently. And she felt she was certainly thankful. Although her son had died, it made things a little easier. She could put to bed some of the issues she was having, and she could understand some of what was happening. So that's what we're here for, you know. That support is immeasurable.
I want to add to what Michael is saying here, because in Jamaica, many persons suffer in silence.
Yes.
And in the prostate cancer fight, that is what used to happen. Because imagine this now, gentlemen. You're having a prostate issue, and you are unaware that it is the #1 cancer killer in Jamaica. You're unaware that there is a support group. You're unaware that there are other men who have experiences that you can talk to, that can share their experience. And this, combined with what you're getting from the doctors, etc., will help you in your journey. Because one of the things that I found most helpful was when I was doing radiation. When I would sit with the men who were further along the radiation journey than myself. So they'd say, oh, this is going to happen. This is what is happening. This is what you need to do. Or, they'll say, hey, after you do a biopsy, this is going to happen. Because although your doctor says, hey, you might have this, you might have that, it's not as detailed as somebody who has experienced. And sometimes, even though they say you might experience this or that, your manifestation might be different. And it's by talking to people in that community that you get those valuable experiences, that wisdom. And that is why the support is so important. Because here we tend to think that critical illness is, oh my God, I must just suffer. We don't talk about it. And sometimes talking about it. Go ahead, Grandison. Go ahead, sir.
You take on a persecution complex. And you're saying that's not.
Thank you. That's the word. That's the word.
Me alone. Now, what we do so? And by the way, I hear that is some mainstay. I don't know if that is true.
I think anybody who is facing a major illness kind of has to go through that too, But what I'm saying is that you have support. So you can go and talk to somebody who has gone through that, is going through that, and that helps. And I found it very helpful.
Thank you. We want to do the $64 million question, which is, I see Richard dropping me a note here. The whole matter of libido. How does this treatment for prostate cancer impact and affect the sex life? Not just about the man, but also the spouse. Who's going to jump in that first and tell us how does that affect the sex drive and sexual performance?
Yes. Well, I think a lot depends on what your intervention was in terms of treatment and, of course, the outcomes. But just speaking as a layperson who would have done radiation, I didn't have any adverse effects for my radiation treatment and the subsequent tests that were done. In terms of my hormone injections, however, I first was prescribed tablets for the first 2 months, and that laid me low. Then I was put on an injection, and the doctor also prescribed certain vitamins, certain tablets. I know some people are put on like 5 milligrams of Cialis daily, and then you would take maybe another tablet an hour before. So there are interventions too in terms of medication. I would have learned from one of the members of the support group that there are certain internal exercises that you also have to practice. And of course, you also have to have a considerate and encouraging partner because it's a process. And after you have finished your treatment, certain levels of recovery, of course, take time. So for me personally, with radiation and hormone treatment, I would say so far, so good. And it is something that one has to continue to monitor, but to also improve on your health. So that's my take. I'm not a doctor. I've heard of several other forms of interventions, including injections, etc. But I'm not a doctor, so I think anyone who has had that experience or a medical practitioner can give advice. But I am just treating with the advice that I would have had and what my experience has been.
Yeah,
that's your testimony.
If I might add, the whole thing of libido, one has to look at it in context. Usually, if there are problems with the prostate, that libido would start going, whatever the causes. If you're having stoppages, because clearly you're not functioning the way you're normally supposed to. So the whole matter of weight loss, exercise, all of those things, it means blood flow to your genitals. Anything that's interrupting that is going to affect your libido. Okay, so let's go back again to the basics. Now, the other thing is once you have, let us say, unfortunately, unfortunately you've been diagnosed with prostate cancer. Yes, and you're going to have one of the several procedures taken. It's going to vary. Every case for every male is totally different.
Okay.
Because you don't know at what stage the problem is. First of all, your physical state at the time that you're diagnosed, your physical condition, your health generally. So what a lot of people expect to do is if let us say you were on a scale of 1 to 10, you were 10 up to age 40. Yes. There's nobody at age 40, or very, 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 very few that at age 40 were like when you're in your teens, when you're knocking yourself out with erections in the morning. Let us be practical, men. Yes? So it is diminishing with time, right? Now, what people should never ever expect is that now you've had a diagnosis of a problem with your prostate. And you notice I'm not saying probably the most extreme is prostate cancer. Then you already not at 10, you're probably at 70 of where you were. Nobody's going to expect, or no one should expect that if you're going at 70, do a procedure and that you're going to come back at 80%. No. That won't work. If you're very lucky and you're doing everything right, the procedure was successful. And as Richard said earlier, the technology has improved significantly, right, over time. And in fact, with the improvement in the technology, the costs have actually come down. And I want for us to get to that in a short moment too. The costs have come down. But going back to the whole matter of libido, he said the right things. You take care of your body first and foremost. You take care of any issues that have come up with your prostate, and you discuss that with your significant other. And there are several things that you can deal with to more than cope.
Great, thank you. And I suspect there's also the psychological aspect of it where you think that, boy, what had happened to me, boy, I can't go through.
That is the biggest part. That is the biggest part of it, because the phrase that was used earlier, like some fatal something another, whatever, that's it. Everybody think this is the end of the world, right? This is the end of the world. It's not. It's not at all.
All right, thanks much. Let's move to the area of, you just raised it a while ago, Michael, and again, anyone of the team members can jump in, but the matter of the cost and the financing of the treatment for prostate cancer. Give me some feedback on that. Share with us.
Okay. I in this context, I'll quote my wife. She always said, if at 50 you're doing the same things you're doing at 25, you have not grown. And what we as men really need to understand is, as we get older, we have to become a lot more responsible for our own self as well as the well-being of our family. And that is part of us taking care of ourselves, that we can then take care of those that we have taken on as a spouse, those that we have decided that are supposed to have children. And we really have to look at restructuring our lives. We do. We have to organize, and we have had people, I can tell you from personal experience, if something had happened when I had my diagnosis some years ago, I would have left a legacy that people say, but this man is a careless man. I was so confident that I'd be fine. I didn't even write a will at the time. No, in our group, we encourage people. You have to do the responsible thing. Put something away for the rainy day. Have some good, as much as you can, some health insurance, and take care of yourself. The best treatment you can get is taking care of your body every day. Because that way you feed your body right. That way you don't need the medication, or you minimize the need for it. And the whole thing of the healthy lifestyle, and just doing things with a balance. Nobody's telling you to stop drinking, just reduce the amount. Nobody's telling you to stop eating, reduce the amount. Get some more exercise, right? but put some things in place, get those tests done, gentlemen, get that baseline established so the medical professionals can monitor what's happening with your prostate and your general what do you call them? The general parameters you have for your health. You know, you just have to do that. We just have to be responsible and take care of ourselves and plan. Now, the whole matter of cost, you can, dependent on your condition and what your health professional in consultation with you determine. There are several different approaches, but the cost only gets higher when you have not detected it earlier. That's all I can say. I would say to have it could be anything from 500,000 to 5 million. It depends. It depends on the health of the person. It depends on the stage the condition was found. It depends on there are so many variables. But the first thing is don't let the diagnosis say, okay, Lord, me dead now, it finished. No. And I know Quinton has found and researched, and a number of people have said, oh, but I didn't realize this could have been done. And some people that check with their health insurance and say, oh, I can get it done locally. And some people have overseas coverage. And it's just about talking, and we can find ways, we can find ways.
And there are excellent facilities and treatment options locally. In fact, Jamaica, I think, supports the region generally in terms of radiation therapy.
Yes.
Yes. For my part, I think I would have estimated my treatment locally and overseas to be topping about 7 million so far. And just to share with you, I mean, one injection can be 1,475 US, and that would be monthly. You have airfare. So, kudos to the insurance agent who would have badgered me in 2008 to buy 15 policies. And to know that last year I was able to meet with him to complete the claims for payment, So when you plan your health program, you also have to factor in the financial aspect, not only regular health insurance, but these critical illness plans. And that, fortunately, I would have, had that level of coverage. And maybe at the point, maybe I would have thought of surrendering some, having passed the age 65 mark, and maybe the cost of maintaining those premiums. So that is also a very important consideration in terms of your financial planning. Yeah.
I think
so it's 7 million and counting. Yes.
I think another thing we need to say to men and everyone, the earliest, I wasn't a believer in insurance, but as soon as you work, purchase a policy that you can afford. Because as you grow older, you're going to find that your body will require tests, require maintenance. And no matter how small your insurance policy is, it makes a difference. Imagine you cannot afford medical care because you do not have insurance. And that's part of the reason why it is claimed that many men do not get tested. So they have not thought about getting insured, but you can get a policy for as low as 2,000 a week or whatever. But what I keep saying to people now is, listen, as soon as you can afford, get a policy. Because when you're older, you never know when you're going to need to pay for a test. You never know when you need to go to a doctor. And no matter how small it may seem, it can make a difference.
Thank you, Yuri. Thank you for that.
You would see too. Sorry, Byron. We spend money on a number of things, and it would be interesting. Just from our own dollar spend, if you look, for instance, for those of us who use our credit card, the proportion that you use on entertainment, you can always find some dollars that you can save, and it really does make sense buying critical illness insurance, because anything can happen. And remember, you can have one policy and upgrade or add another one to it. Let the insurance guys do the work, and you do your research. And tell you what, Quinton said it right. Just have something, have something in place. Have something in place.
I say Richard with that tongue in the cheek comment here. Some of us spend more on our cars and pastimes than on our health.
I love that thing that Richard has said, because one of the things I've been saying to men is that, listen, if you don't maintain your car, right, what happens? The car going to break down, not true, and you can't fix it. I said, we as men, we have to start maintaining our body. So if you spend the amount of money you spend on your car, you have to change the oil, you have to change the tire, you have to check these things, but you don't do it with your body. And I'm saying, look at that.
Yes, I try to spend every Saturday with once a week. And I said to myself, but I'm not spending that time on my health, So apart from the annual checks, it is the maintenance of this with the diet and the exercise. But if you look at all the worldly possessions, which you can't do, oftentimes we really don't spend enough on ourselves or our family, in terms of health.
Okay. Boy, this has really been a very, very practical and useful discussion. Gentlemen, brothers from Brothers United Against Prostate Cancer. Really good information. We're going to wrap. So I'm going to thank you for coming, for joining, for sharing with our viewers on Wellness Men Master YouTube channel. And we're going to, as best as we can, spread this information around on other platforms and so on, other ways to make sure that the information gets out to our men. And as was said earlier on, we're going to meet to see how well we can come together to get this word out. So I want to thank you, Michael. I want to thank you, Quinton, and thank you, Richard, from Brothers United Against Prostate Cancer, for sharing with us how you survive, and you have been surviving prostate cancer, and how others can prevent it as well as survive well. Thank you again.
Thank you for having us. Have a good evening.
Remember, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook. Yes. Instagram and Facebook. Brothers United Against Prostate Cancer.
B.U.A.P.C. Thank you again.
Right. And we are also on YouTube.
Great.
Yes.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a wonderful
day.
Thank you to the team for the support. Yes.